Hey guys, we're going to talk today about the new chains we got for the chainsaws. We got these chains when I discovered that on a couple different brush fires that we had where we had to drop trees, that the smaller chainsaws that we carry just weren't getting the job done. It was taking a long time to get a single tree to fall, and the chain was dull by the end of the job, and that just shouldn't be the way that it works. So we do have the bigger chainsaws that we use for the roof saws, and bigger engine, a lot more power to them, and so I looked into getting a chain that would work for cutting trees on that saw and got approved to do that. I've asked Al to come along as he's the chainsaw expert, and he's going to explain to us some different things about the differences in the blades and how to take the guard off the roof saws and put the chain on and so forth. It's going to be very important that we remember to get the right chain on for the right job. So when we're ready to cut a tree, we're going to have to switch out the chain. Shouldn't take very long. Get the tree chain on there and do our tree cutting. Then when we're finished with that, to get the roof blade, which is a carbide tip blade, back on there. We don't want to get these mixed up. If you use the carbide tip blade for cutting trees, it's going to take a long time to cut the tree. It's going to wear you out, it's going to dull the chain, and it's just not going to be good results. Also, we don't want to damage those chains because the carbide tip chains are significantly more expensive than the standard chains are. So when we get finished with the tree job, we want to make sure we get that carbide tip blade back on there so that it's ready to go should we need to use it quickly for venting a roof or something along those lines. So without further delay, I'm going to send it over to Al here, and he's going to explain some things about these blades to us.
Hi, we're going to talk about the chains like Captain Minky said. And first, go over a little anatomy about the chain real quick. Some simple stuff. Can you see this? Mm-hmm. This part right here is called the cutter. And that's going to be the important thing in determining if this is a carbide tip chain, carbide chain, or a regular chain that we're going to use to cut trees. So this is the cutter. If you look at these three chains here, these two are both carbide that we have on different trucks, and this is a regular chain. This is the carbide tip, and you can see it's pretty easy to see on this cutter. That's the carbide, and that's easy to tell the difference here. Regular carbide tip. Now, I throw one more in there. We have a full, this ain't tip, this whole cutter here is carbide. See how it's a little darker? It's tipped, regular, and then a full carbide tooth. Now the easiest way to tell the difference, this is going to be sharp. I mean, this would actually cut me. Almost like a razor blade, and you can feel how sharp it is. These you can run your thumb across and they ain't gonna cut you. But if I did that to here, it really laid me open. Alright, this should be just a refresher for you. We did this company level not too long ago, but we're going to demonstrate step by step how to take the guard off, how to put the other chain on, and we'll go step by step. I'll show you, and then we'll do it in real time after that. So we're going to start with taking this guard off. Take this knob all the way out. And a couple things you'll need is you need your scratch, your bar wrench and screwdriver, and a 5mm Allen. Take these two out right here. the guards off, we'll go to the bar nuts on the side. And we'll remove the bar nuts. Make sure you don't drop them in the grate. That's a joke. Take the bar, chain off, remove the carbide chain, and get a regular chain. The easiest way that I found to do it is take this adjuster all the way back from the start. Just about all the way back, about right there. Put your chain on the bar in the chain guide. And you want to make sure your cutters on the top here are facing away from you for the chain to be on right. Cutters away. Around this rim sprocket, set it in there. And take up the slack. Making sure the chain goes into the guide. And all we're going to do there is take up the slack. Nothing more. Just enough to take up all the slack. Then we'll put the bar cover on. Bar nuts. Right here, we're not going to tighten them. Not even going to snuggle. I'm just going to take all the threads out, but they're still really loose. And then I'm going to finish adjusting my chain. Make sure your brake is off when you're doing this. I'll show you why here in a second. But we'll want to, about right there is where we want to stop for now. Because when we're done, when we tighten these bar nuts back up, it's going to tighten the chain even a little bit more. Make sure that the chain moves freely. You go out to the end or something. And we're going to snug these down. Pretty good. Then we'll recheck the chain. And that's a little loose. So we'll back these nuts back off. Give it a little bit. Let's see. Because as soon as you tighten these up, it will tighten the chain up a little bit more. Then, that's pretty close. right in the middle of the bar, and you pull up pretty snugly. You don't want to pull the driver, this part, out, about 3/4 of the way out. And you could probably go a hair tighter on this, but that's about the tension you want right there. Now you're ready to go cut a tree. All right, I'm gonna put the other chain on in real time. We're just gonna time it. See how fast it takes. Start me, Brian.
Like a chainsaw, fresh flannel shirt, country bumpkin, lumberjack moves, aka Paul Bunyan. Run, yeah. I make it right, I make it run. Chainsaw. Drop it down low. Chop it. Here we go. Beat so sharp that they call me Jaws. I'm your boss, baby, crack it like a chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it, back, crank it, back. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it, back, crank it, back. Came down, head hunter. Chopper punk, yeah, I'm a blade runner. Turned up, automatic, full tank, you ain't gotta think about it. Chainsaw, yank it, crank it, swing it, then you put it inside whatever you buy. Turn it all the way up and then you bring it. Top the block, no whistle, wilderness, but I'm chivalry. From Texas, but no massacre, unless it's a beat, we killing it. Dropping down trees, A2C, watch some things fall. Bows to my knees, that mean I crank it like a chainsaw. Do it to these trees, I'll see these flames, y'all. Burn them up to burn them down, now let me see you. Chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it, back, crank it, back. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Bows to the knees, yeah, crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it, back, crank it, back. Crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it like a chain. Crank it like a chain. Crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it like a chainsaw. Chainsaw. Crank it like a chain. Crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it like a chain. Crank it like a chain. Crank it like a chainsaw. Crank it like a chainsaw.
All right, now we're ready to go cut some trees. And the time's not the thing, because when you're in Brushfire, you have plenty of time, hopefully, to do this. But it's more about having the right tool for the job. You don't wear yourself out or ruin equipment. So 4 minutes to have the right tool. I think it's well worth it.
All right.
Action.
I just wanted to say thanks to Al for helping us out with this project here. He's obviously got a lot of knowledge about chainsaws and how those types of things work, and so I appreciate his help on this. One thing that Al wanted me to bring up to you, and it's good information, is when you're cutting a tree, especially when we're talking about out on a brush fire and you're cutting a tree down, that you don't want to get down real close to the ground and cut the tree. You have a better chance of getting into the dirt and dulling your chain. Also, the dirt and rocks and stuff tend to come up into the trunk of the tree a little bit. Possibly any barbed wire or anything that might be left over from fencing could be in there. So the best place to cut the tree is going to be about waist high. And that's going to be a good level for you to cut and be able to do it safely and drop that tree wherever you need it for that situation. So about waist high, and there's also a lot of good videos out there that you can look up that talk about how to drop a tree in the direction you want it to go, how to safely do that, and then also information about the felling wedges. Okay, these wedges here can be really useful. They can make your dropping of a tree a lot safer, and it could also just help to make sure that tree goes in the direction that you want it to go. So you can look up videos on how to use these, but essentially you want to get that tree cut to where you're just about ready to drop it. Stick this wedge in there and hammer it in there, and that'll be what we call the trigger that's going to make that tree fall in that direction that you want it to go. It can also come in handy if you get a saw bound up in a tree. So we're going to have one of these on each of the trucks as well. So again, thanks Al for putting this video together for us.
Do you want to mention beware of dead trees?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Which we'll be cutting, but
a lot of the trees that we're going to be cutting, most of the trees we're going to be cutting are going to be dead trees. And dead trees tend to be harder on the chain, more difficult to cut through. And there's also a hazard with dead trees in that they're hollowed out in the center, sometimes significantly hollowed out. So dropping a tree in the direction you want it to go becomes a lot more difficult. It's a lot more hazardous to drop a dead tree than a live tree as far as getting it to fall the way you want it to go. So just be real careful. There's videos out there on that as well. And also a thing to keep in mind is when we're cutting these trees that are on fire, that charred wood inside the tree there is also tough on the chains. So we're going to dull chains along the way while we're doing it in our situations. But with these tree saw chains, I think you're going to see a lot of difference in how quickly you can cut through some of these trees and so forth. So if you have any further questions, I would say get a hold of Al, and he can help you out with that.
I think Captain Mickey would be a great resource as well.
I think Al would be the person to contact. All right. Thank you for watching.